I'm not sure what year it was. All I remember was that my program director at the time, we were hot in the middle of trying to get ratings, and I was on the morning, and Howard Stern was on morning and other stations, and at BCN, uh, our bosses had put Howard on at night. So there he was at nighttime doing a morning show all across the country, a syndicated morning show. So he got upset. He was always, I mean, we got along and stuff, but he kiddingly, he would say, when is Laquidara going to die? So we had this sort of thing going on where eventually I would have had to move out of mornings because most of the BCN listeners that were listening to me were had gone over to WZLX, which was playing classic rock, because BCN was now playing more punk rock and stuff like that, which I liked, but which somehow my listeners, the listeners that liked me, didn't like that as much, and they had switched over to ZLX. Anyway, long story short, I was working, getting ready to work over at WZLX. So I was going to transfer. So my last show, well, I remember at one point previous to that, because there was such competition going on for ratings, getting ratings. I remember that Chachi LaPret had set up a thing, a concert with Tony Bennett. So there was Tony Bennett playing live in, I think it was San Francisco or somewhere in California, and we had done a cable hookup so that we now were going to play Tony Bennett live on my morning show. And because I was so, what's the word? I had so much stress and angst about getting high ratings because all the pressure was on me. You know, you got to start getting high ratings or Stern's going to replace you or whatever. So they switched over to California. And I'm going, okay, everybody, this is WBCN Boston, Charles Laquidara. We're going to be cutting over to California now, where Tony Bennett is playing live. So let's go over there right now. So anyway, we switched over to live Tony Bennett, and the song went on a little longer than I thought with my crazy stress thing. I thought, wow, that song's been playing for a long time, and he's not singing rock and roll. I mean, I totally blew it. So I'm thinking, he's not singing rock and roll. He's singing like, those old people songs. My audience is going to hate this. My boss is going to hate this. I can't keep doing this. And so as Tony Bennett was singing this wonderful song, I panicked and switched out of it and said, yeah, so that was Tony Bennett here on WBCN, so now let's go to more rock and roll. The biggest mistake, I think, that I ever made, well, I made a couple of big mistakes in radio, but that was one of the biggest ones. And I'll always regret that. Anyway, to make up for that gaffe, that stupid thing that I did, my last song, when I finally left radio on WZLX in the year 2000, my last song was not Led Zeppelin, it was not the Rolling Stones. My last song, and I introduced it by saying, Tony Bennett, I screwed you over years ago. I made the mistake. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be my last song that I'll ever play on the radio. And it was Tony Bennett singing The Best Is Yet to Come. So, anyway, that's my Tony Bennett story.